Continue on Bath Road for 3/4 of a mile. In 1/4 of a mile, at Huntercombe roundabout, take the first exit onto Huntercombe Spur heading to M4, London. Exit the roundabout onto Huntercombe Spur. Keep left at the fork. In 1/4 of a mile, merge onto M4.
Tiverton and Honiton have spoken for Britain. They've sent a loud and clear message. It's time for Boris Johnson to go. And go now. I've served as an officer in the British Army for 10 years, Mr. Johnson, and I can tell you that leadership means acting with decency and integrity. It means keeping your word. It means setting an example and putting other people's needs before your own.
Now, we knew that this was going to be a tough by-election for the Conservatives. We realised how tough a result it was when the Tory candidate, Helen Herford, locked herself in a dance studio here at the Crediton Sports Centre to avoid speaking to reporters. One Conservative MP who did end up speaking to reporters was the Deputy Chairman, Luke Hall, and this was earlier on when he was claiming it was all going to be fine, the Prime Minister was safe and there was nothing to worry about.
I think the Prime Minister is completely secure, and actually the feeling that I have now in Parliament amongst colleagues is that now we've had the confidence vote, a lot of tension has dissipated now, and we're all united to just get on with the job that we're elected to do in 2019, which is some of these really important things we've been talking about, whether that's addressing the COVID backlog with the NHS, whether it's putting more police on the streets. I think those are the things that broadly the Conservative Party is united about doing now. So we know that these were going to be challenging elections. I think everyone in the Parliamentary Party understood that, and I think we're united in wanting to go forward and win the general election.
Luke Hall, Deputy Chairman of the Conservative Party, concluding Theo Usher's report, and of course speaking before Oliver Dowden, the party chairman, quit. That's the story from Devon. Let's go up now to Wakefield, LBC's Vicky Smith. Vicky.
Labour not only regained Wakefield a Brexit voting seat they lost in that 2019 Tory landslide, but did so with a majority of almost 5,000. The new MP Simon Lightwood claims that Labour, with Sir Keir Starmer at the helm, can rebuild the Red Wall.
Tonight, the people of Wakefield have spoken on behalf of the British people. They have said unreservedly, Boris Johnson, your contempt for this country is no longer tolerated. Your government has no ideas, no plan to address the big issues facing our country.
It was a 12% swing from the Conservatives to Labour as they overturned the Tories' majority of 3,300. I caught up with Shadow Transport Secretary Louise Haigh after those results.
Absolutely over the moon. We were obviously hoping for a victory tonight, but to get one on these terms with such an enormous swing that actually, if replicated across the country, would mean that we would win a general election on these terms. So this win in Wakefield tonight has put us firmly on the path back to a general election victory.
Shadow Transport Secretary Louise Haigh concluding Vicky Smith's report. Let's go straight to Sir Ed Davey, who of course is leader of the Liberal Democrats. And first off, we must offer congratulations, not just a win, but a thumping win down in Devon. But if I take you to Wakefield, the party finished behind Labour, Conservative, Independent, Yorkshire, Green, Reform UK, and you lost your deposit. Why might that be? Good morning.
Good morning, Nick. Well, we just had the biggest by-election victory here in Devon. No majority of this size has ever been overturned.
Indeed.
In a by-election, and so I'm pretty chipper today.
Of course you are, and I did offer my congratulations, Sir Ed. Well done.
No, that's very kind of you, but I just want to make sure because we are smiling here, and the message from Tiverton and Honiton, the people here in Devon, is that Boris Johnson must go. I think they've spoken for the whole British people, and it really is time he left. Conservative MPs have got to wake up. They have a Prime Minister who not only breaks the law and lies, but he has no plan for our country. Our country is in chaos. We have inflation going through the roof. We have businesses really struggling. We need a plan, and that's why Liberal Democrats have fought a really positive campaign here, talking about our proposal for a VAT tax cut. That's really energised people. And I'm really proud of what we've achieved here.
Okay, just on the subject of what people are looking for, where are you on the rail strikes? Are you ready to condemn the strikers, support the strikers? Where are you, Sir Ed?
We've condemned the strike. The strike should not be happening. We actually voted with the Conservative government on their motion in Parliament last week. But we do do think the Conservative ministers bear some responsibility. They should be round the table. They should be at the table. They should be acting to stop this. Our country is in chaos with this Conservative.
But they negotiate
and
with
they do
Network
have
Rail.
responsibility.
You know that. Obviously, they negotiate with Network Rail. They don't negotiate with Mr. Shapps or Mr. Johnson.
Well, of course Network Rail needs to be at the table, but in the recent years, Nick, the government has taken almost total responsibility of the budget for our railways. They've sort of semi-renationalised it. And because of that, because they decide what the budget is, they are there. And to try to wash their hands of responsibility is just not acceptable.
Are the government and RMT as bad as each other, as was said earlier this week?
Well, they all have a responsibility, and what I think worries the travelling public, and should worry you, Nick, and all your listeners, is we have people who should be working on behalf of passengers, of commuters, of our country, of our economy, and they're not taking their responsibilities seriously. They're not getting around the table. These strikes should end now. Let people get to work. And the people who are responsible on both sides should their heads should be banged together. We need a country that is working, and under this government it isn't.
Lastly, again, a thumping win for you in Devon. Again, congratulations. But would you address Wakefield, where you've lost the deposit and you've come 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th with 508 votes? There's some kind of deal here, isn't there? Labour let you go for the seats that you can grab, and you let them go for the seats that they can grab. And in those way, you prize out the Tories. That's the reality, Sir Ed.
There's no deal whatsoever. Our candidate Jamie Needle in Wakefield is a great candidate, and I'm sorry he didn't do better. But it's our responsibility as Liberal Democrats to speak on behalf of people. They want Boris Johnson out of government, and we could be far more effective in getting the Tories, stopping a Tory MP being elected, and sending a clear message that Boris Johnson must go here in East Devon. And that's what we did, and I'm really proud of the Liberal Democrat victory here. It's a historic victory, and it really, I think, speaks on behalf of people. Boris Johnson really must be pushed out, and if Tory...
I think we've got that message, Ed. Thank you very much, and thanks for your time. And again, congrats to you and your team down there. So Ed, it is a whopping victory, no doubt. So Ed Davey is, of course, the Lib Dem leader. What of the Conservatives, then? Sir David Lidington served as Deputy Prime Minister, former Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, also as Justice Secretary, joins me now. How would you appraise the fortunes of the Conservative Party this morning, Sir David? Good morning.
Oh, morning, Nick. My party had a whopping last night, and there's no getting away from it. I'd add Robert Alden, whom I know, he was in my ministerial team when I was at Cabinet Office under Theresa May. You know, he's demonstrated he's a man of great integrity as well of great ability. But I think the Tory party, which I've been a member for nearly half a century now, needs to reflect very, very hard. It'll be next election 14 years since the party was last out of office, and that's when people start thinking perhaps we should have a change. So I think my party's got to come up with some really compelling reasons to recapture the public imagination, re-establish public trust.
Can that be done under the stewardship of Boris Johnson?
I've always said, as an ex-MP, I don't want to read lectures to current Tory MPs about the decision that's their responsibility to take about the leader. It's no secret, Nick, I didn't vote for Boris Johnson when he became party leader. My preference was for other candidates. I think that it goes beyond just Boris Johnson. I do think, I'm afraid, that the whole business of double standards associated with the so-called Partygate has gone very deep with the public. But I think
in 2 miles at junction 3, take the A312 exit to Harrow, Hayes.
Over people's standards of living and the state of the economy. The government is not radiating confidence in having a long-term economic plan. Instead, the papers are full of report speculation about squabbles between the Prime Minister and the Chancellor, different factions of Conservative MPs. And I actually think to demonstrate that the party has a coherent economic plan and is also capable of making operational plans to make a reality of very attractive slogans like levelling up and net zero is a crucial part of the task that lies ahead.
You loyally stood by Theresa May's side as she faced resignations. Do you see parallels with what now might befall Boris Johnson?
Well, I think it's always tough the people around a party leader or prime minister when they're facing a lot of adverse criticism and a threat to their continuation in that position of leadership. And I expect people in that situation to be loyal and to try to be supportive of their boss. I hope that behind closed doors, I think that's important too, they're also giving very frank advice to the Prime Minister about what needs to change. I think the party not only will be facing the public after 14 years in office at the next election, but with voters who, as we saw last night, are getting more used to the concept of tactical voting. Well, I think that is a sort of unwritten agreement between Labour and the Lib Dems to each focus on their strongest seats. I think what's a much more serious threat to Conservatives is that the voters themselves seem to have got the knack of this. It's probably something to do with people, social media, people just more informed about who's best placed to be the non-Conservative champion in their seat. But I really think the Conservative Party's got to wake up and face that threat. I think it's very serious.
Lastly, you've referenced a couple of times 14 years the Conservatives have enjoyed in power. At the next general election, will it be Boris Johnson leading the party?
That's up to my successors.
In a quarter of a mile at Junction 3, take the A312 exit to Harrow, Hayes.
I'm not a betting man, but I do think that his political capital is looking very depleted after last night.
Grateful for your time, thank you. Sir David Lidington, you chair RUSI. The Royal United Service Institute had a string of senior positions.
Exit at Junction 3.
Lancaster, Leader of the House of Commons and, of course, Deputy Prime Minister. Late to the headline, 7:18 to the 7:15.
In a quarter of a mile at Cranford Parkway interchange, take the 4th exit onto the Parkway, A312.
The Liberal Democrats claimed victory in what was one of the safest Tory seats in the country, Tiverton and Honiton, while Labour reclaimed Wakefield. In a letter to Boris Johnson, Mr Dowden said someone must take responsibility. LBC weather, a mix of sunshine and some heavy showers and thunderstorms in the east later, a high of 25 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm Joanne Webb. So the trains are starting to run again after the strike, but there will be a limited service for the rest of the day, with just over half of the usual amount of trains able to run. London Overground services aren't running between Romford and Upminster, and also problems on the Underground. The Bakerloo line can't run between Queen's Park and Harrow and Wealdstone, and there are severe delays on the rest of the line. Slightly better news for the District line. That's now back up and running, but there are minor delays on the Hammersmith and City and Circle lines, and on the roads, queues on the M2 eastbound to Junction 4 at Gillingham, and that was after a car was on fire earlier, and very busy on the M25 anti-clockwise at Junction 21.
LBC. That's quality. Yep, quality. Nice. At Cinch, only quality cars make the cut. They're all carefully reconditioned, quality checked, and they all come with at least 6 months MOT as standard. And if you don't absolutely love your new car, you can return it for a full refund for up to 14 days for free. So with only quality cars and a money-back guarantee, you can be certain you've absolutely cinched it. Search Cinch today. Guarantee subject to terms and mileage restrictions apply.
Call Nick Ferrari now. 0345 60.
Exit the roundabout onto the Parkway.
Hold on to your mugs. EE's Full Fiber is here. New broadband that can handle anything. And whatever you think that means, times it by a zillion and dip it in chocolate.
Continue on the Parkway for 1 mile.
Devices in your home. Search EE Full Fiber.
18.3% UK availability. Check coverage at ee.co.uk. At BT, we mean business. To prove it, we're bringing you our fastest ever business broadband. How fast? Well, let's just say that if your daily commute was as quick as our broadband, your journey to work would only take... Morning, Tracy. With our fastest ever broadband at 900 megabits per second, business is quicker than ever. Search BT Business Full Fiber 900 for availability. BT means business.
Hello, I'm Albert Einstein. If you already have a smart meter, this is excellent. Because by my calculations, if everybody in Britain gets one, we could save the equivalent CO2 as roughly 70 million trees. That must be good for the planet, huh? I mean, you don't have to be, me to work that out.
Search Get a Smart Meter today. CO2 savings between 2013 and 2034 based on the government forecast for the smart meter rollout. Consumer action required. Eligibility may vary.
Got a parcel to send? Do it the easy way with Royal Mail. Go online, buy your postage, save yourself some cash, and arrange for your postie to collect it. Don't worry if you can't print your label. Your helpful postie can bring that for you. They'd love to stay and chat too, but, you know, parcels don't collect themselves. Click, save, we collect. Visit send.royalmail.com. Savings based on online parcel prices compared to over-the-counter prices. Exclusions apply.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
7:22 is the time. Quickly, the website's obviously the front page of the newspapers. I might do a quick look through just so that you give you other stories. It is our job to give you as wide a range of stories as we possibly can. But the website's picking up on both the defeats and, of course, Dowden quits. There's the Telegraph.
In 300 yards at Wagoners Roundabout, take the second exit and stay on the Parkway, A312.
Website Tory chairman quits after party's double by-election wipeout. Boris stays. Tories lose Tiverton. Oh, sorry, that's the Daily Telegraph. I've told you that one. The Daily Express, Boris's electoral humiliation. Top ally resigns. Tories crushed in double loss. Now, the printed versions, which of course would have gone to bed the late hours of last night or the very early hours of this morning, a wide range of stories. Let's just look, here's one now. Here's one to celebrate. Lord only knows. We could often do with good news in the morning, and here we are. Fantastic to say, Her Majesty the Queen, 96, is back in the saddle, riding again, which is tremendous.
Exit the roundabout onto the Parkway. Continue on A312 for 1.5 miles.
Trips in Windsor, which obviously leads us to speculate that her mobility is improving, so that is something that we can all celebrate. The Eye picks up on a story we've done already. BA summer holiday strike set to cause turmoil. Terminal chaos is the Metro. They're looking at, of course, at the rail strikes. They are supposedly back today, but out again tomorrow. The Times has the conversation between the Prime Minister and Prince Charles in Rwanda, which we now understand, having been briefed that they would talk about it. Now we understand they possibly won't talk about it. That's the front page of the Daily Mail as well. And lastly, the Financial Times and the Guardian go with summer of discontent, fears rise, BA staff vote for holiday strike. That's brought you up to date. Right, let's talk about those results. Let's bring in first Sonia from Appleby Magna. Sonia, what do you take from those by-election defeats for the Conservatives?
Morning, Nick. I think what I take from those by-election results is what everybody else in the country takes from them. It's time that Boris Johnson went. He's overstayed his welcome, and it's bye-bye time.
When did he overstay? When did the welcome end for Boris?